So,
Actually, I'm not sure I ever looked at it that way before. You made a statement, we're more alike than different. I'm definitely aware of that. And I think of religion more than anything. Um, what I may have just realized as you were speaking is it absolutely matters that we find differences. But I think it matters more for the powers that be or the people who want control because I'll give you an example. Um, I'm from Chicago. I'm very proud to originally be from Chicago. And we have a football team, an NFL team, the Chicago Bears. Now, am I proud to be a Chicago Bears fan? Most Sundays, no. Because most Sundays, as a team, for as long as I can remember, they do just the nuttiest things. Like you can talk to a real sports commentator, which I am not, and you will hear the same type of, "Oh my goodness, what are the Bears going to do this time to lose the game?" You know that
hmm
type of situation. But I'm a loyal fan because of my affiliation with the city more than anything. Um, and I'll always have 1985, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, there's a team, our biggest rival, I would say, is probably the Green Bay Packers. Um, and it's a big rivalry.
yeah,
I have a relative, a close relative, whose only son is a Green Bay Packers fan. And of course, this relative is a huge Chicago Bears fan. And that has always just been a point of contention. I really do feel sorry for him and everything, but I do think as an American citizen, it should be your right to be a fan of whatever, NFL team you want. Where am I going with that? Say, for example, there's a Sunday game, and it is between the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers. When all of the team members hit the field, they all have on exactly the same thing. There are no Bears uniforms. There are no Green Bay Packers uniforms. How in the world are we going to figure out who we're actually rooting for? We don't recognize that, right? Because like I would recognize Caleb Williams, for example, but nope, you can't see any features of any of the players. All you see is everybody has on the exact same uniform. How do you know who to root for? So, zooming out in the main scheme of things, we have to be separated because if we all come together, how are we going to be controlled that way? How, like, what am I going to hate about you if we're exactly the same? Right? So maybe it won't matter. But sometimes it will. In sororities, for example, and there's a group called the Divine Nine, and it's basically the nine primarily African American sororities. People would have heard of Alpha Kappa Alpha and Delta Sigma Theta and Alpha Phi Alpha, and there are more, but um, there are differences in the sororities. But as a group, the Divine Nine stick together theoretically,
hmm
have each other's backs, will do things together. Um, that's really kind of what we want. I'm not saying that we need a homogenous society where everybody's the same. What I'm saying is there needs to be a level of goodwill that if there is a slight difference between, I mean, I'm sitting here now with someone of an entirely different gender. So, yeah, that's a big difference. So it would matter if there was leadership that said, hey, men are that's a no go. Men suck. We don't like men. We're going to do everything we can to annihilate all the men. Um, I'm probably not going to be as incentivized to relate to you
right.
because I mean, let's face it, you're on your way out, right? So, and I'm being a little bit silly, but I do feel like we live in a culture where people are almost forced to take a side. And I think that's just so unhealthy. It's so unhealthy for all of us. Just open your eyes and see when you're being taken advantage of. Like, to me, that's step one. You're not going to come into my home and make me hate one of my children. Like, you're not going to get a chance to do that. But I think when we zoom out and in the workplace, for example, and I've seen this happen in toxic work environments where you may have leadership official leadership, or you might have that unofficial leader that everybody listens to and kind of follows behind. And if there's something they want, they can create division where division didn't exist before. And I've just never seen that sometimes it ends well for one person or for a small interest, but I've never seen it end well for an entire organization. And so I think as a country, we really need, somebody has to step forward and say, hey, that's nonsense. What they're talking about there is nonsense. They're trying to line their pockets. I'm not mad at them for that, but they should not be able to do it on the backs of hardworking people. Like something like that. I feel that's the way we need to go.